From the City of Charleston apologizing for its role in slavery, to the remembrance of the Mother Emanuel victims, to the gubernatorial runoff, I sit down exclusively with historian and author Jack Bass for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores, or listen to this interview later on the free iHeartRadio app. Jack Bass, it's so good to see you again.
Good seeing you.
I appreciate this. You know, as we sit here in downtown Charleston, there's so much to talk about. Let me take you to Charleston City Hall. As you know, on Tuesday night, the City of Charleston passed basically a resolution to apologize about their role in slavery many years ago.
I was there.
Oh, really? What was the mood in that room in your mind?
The mood in the room, except for City Council, was that there were about, I think there must have been 25 or 30 speakers and maybe 2 opposed it. And I was frankly, I came home thinking, well, it looked to me like there ought to be a unanimous consent. And it was a 5-4 vote.
Yeah, 7-5, yeah.
And I was very happy to see my councilman voted for it.
And obviously you're a journalist. If you were to put this story into a headline, what would it be?
No, I think the Post and Courier really gave it good, I think it ought to be something like the City of Charleston looks to its past and acknowledges it, something like that.
You talk about history. Let me go to Mother Emanuel. Obviously, the church and the community here in Charleston are remembering the victims of that tragedy that took place on June 17, 2015.
Yes.
When you look back 3 years ago to right now, where are you still emotionally?
Well, I think the city has done, and not the city itself, but the city and the community have both responded well to that event. I mean, I think there's been a full acknowledgement of the horror that happened, the conviction of Dylan Roof, and all of that did about as much as you can. I know there are people who are still grieving,
Right.
and I fully understand that. But I think the city at least has recognized that and has responded in a positive and supportive way.
And tonight is going to be the Charleston Forum, which is their second anniversary of that. Where should this discussion go?
Well, one thing I think ought to be done, quite frankly, I'd like to see somebody introduce legislation to put a statue of Clementa Pinckney on the State House grounds. And I really think that would be another step forward in recognizing it and really speaking for the state as a whole and recognizing it.
You talk about the State House grounds. Let me take you to Columbia. Obviously, there's a runoff between current Governor Henry McMaster and Greenville businessman John Warren.
Right.
How do we get here politically with that?
How do we do what now?
How do we get here with that politically?
Well, if you're a Republican, you have to vote and decide who you want to vote for. And McMaster says he's closest to Trump, and so many people are going to say, well, I guess I'll vote for McMaster. On the other hand, Warren had a strong support from, I think it was 3 of the runner-ups. It was 2 or 3. And their voters may well turn out and support Warren. So I think it's still a little unpredictable. If I had to predict, if I were betting on it, I'd probably bet on McMaster, but I wouldn't bet a lot.
So he's going to be hanging on a thread.
Yeah, I mean, I just think we don't know. It's not any clear outlook on that one. It depends on who turns out to vote and so forth, and they've got different groups of voters.
And obviously on the Democratic side, now you have Democratic nominee, State
Right.
Representative James Smith.
Right.
How does he look going up against voters in generalities in the state of South Carolina this fall?
My hunch is it's a 50-50 situation. I really think that James Smith is positioned. He'd probably do a little better against McMaster because of Warren's own military background in fighting in Iraq.
Right.
But Smith's background as someone who was wounded in combat in Afghanistan against McMaster, I think would carry more weight with veterans. And so I think to that extent he'd be a little more supportive. And then you have to wonder, will all the... My hunch is that whoever loses, some of their supporters will not vote for the winner in the general election.
Let me return to you. Obviously you are a busy man. What is it like for you, Jack Bass, these days? What's up with you?
Well, I'm retired. Well, I've got a book I'm working on that I've been working on for about 10 years. And I'm going back to do the final edit on it, and I've got about 7 chapters done. And it's been a slow process because I suddenly realized I had 2 different copies of it, and the pages weren't the same. So, but that's not a big deal, you know. I can go out and go get it, reprint them, and so forth.
Right.
So I want to move forward on that.
And you talk about moving forward. What will be the next discussion here in this town?
Next discussion? Don't know.
Okay.
The only thing we know about the future is that it will happen.
That's true. That is absolutely true. Well, the Honorable Jack Bass, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
Good seeing you, as always.
Always. I'll probably see you on Lower King Street somewhere. Or
I expect
Starbucks.
so.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Good talking to you.
Likewise.
Yes, sir.